Right. Welcome, everyone. I hope you're all doing well. Tonight, we are going to hang out with cicadas. And if you're like me, you may not know a lot about them. And now I know a lot more. So this should be pretty fun and interesting. So I will start by sharing my screen. There. Can everyone see that? Yes? Okay, wonderful. All right. So this first slide shows us a periodical cicada, and we can just sort of absorb the presence of this little one here. Seeing the delicacy of the wings, the vivid green. And then before we share the information, we'll invite ourselves into our Qigong state, into pure consciousness or Mingjue. And find your comfortable meditative posture, rooting to the earth, straightening the spine, lifting the head, tucking the chin, rolling the shoulders, and relaxing. And I will read Dr. Pong's 8 verses, and you're welcome to close your eyes, soften the gaze, or read along, whatever feels good. Head expands into the sky, feet into the earth. Body is relaxed, mind expands out. Be respectful, quiet inside. The mind is clear, the appearance is humble. The mind is still. The mind expands out to the vast void. Illuminate deep inside. The whole body is harmonized with qi. Harmonized with qi. Harmonized with qi. All right. So there are about 3,000 species of cicadas, which I didn't realize there were so many. And they are generally divided into two groups, periodical and annual. This 17-year cicada, the one with the red eyes, that's the periodical. They're also sometimes known as 17-year or 13-year. Which is kind of what they're famous for. They're famous as the 13 and 17-year insects, and they're found in the eastern and midwestern United States, and they occur nowhere else in the world. These 17-year or 13-year or periodical cicadas live underground for most of their lives, feeding on tree root sap. And they do this for years. For the 13 years or the 17 years, they're underground, just feeding and roaming around. And then they emerge after doing this for that lengthy period of time in this massive synchronized brood. So they all start burrowing up out of the earth. And they favor deciduous forests, mature trees, wooded suburban areas, and moist, well-drained soil. Annual cicadas, on the other hand, are more widespread, inhabiting most of North America and parts of Europe, Asia, Africa, and Australia. They thrive in forests, woodlands, grasslands, shrubby areas, urban parks, gardens, and some species are even desert adapted. And annual cicadas, they live underground for 2 to 5 years, so a much shorter time frame, but still, that's quite a few years still. And some of them emerge every summer during the hot humidity of late July to early September. And because of when they emerge, they are also known as dog day cicadas. So that's the annual. This is the cicada life cycle. And it starts with the male and female cicada mating, and then the female lays her eggs in a groove that she etches into the bark, usually of a young tree limb. And then the nymphs hatch, and they briefly feed on sap, and then they drop. They drop from where they hatched, and they dig down and they burrow into the earth. And this is where they spend, 2 to 17 years eating. Um, and once they feed on plant roots and do all of that, then they begin to, when they sense the temperature, and they use their internal clocks and thermometers, and they're called nymphs. The nymphs emerge from the ground, and you can see these tiny holes. And I actually didn't know what these were. We've seen these around where we live, and we were like, oh my gosh, what is all that? Now I realize they're nymph emergence holes. Um, so they come up, and then they're on the surface. And once they're on the surface, they look for something vertical, anything, a plant, a twig, a post, a fence, and they climb. And as they climb, they molt, and they come out of their exoskeleton, which we'll talk about more in a minute. And then once they're adults, they sing and they mate. And we'll talk about that a bit more as well. Okay, so this is an annual cicada leaving its exoskeleton. And I have quite a few photos of these because they're so magical, and there are a lot. It's pretty, I don't know, it just feels fantastical. So when cicada nymphs emerge after years underground, like I said, they climb up vertical surfaces, and then their back splits open. And you can see it in this image. And once their back splits open, the adult cicada wriggles out. You see the exoskeleton here, and you see this cicada hanging out of it. And then this is a periodical cicada. You can tell because of the red eyes, and there's its exoskeleton. The outgrown empty shell remains perfectly shaped like the insect that left it. Once shed, the exoskeleton contains no living tissue, just a protective outer shell. This molting process allows the adult to develop wings and reproductive organs, and the shell stays attached to surfaces like bark or leaves. So the cicada will leave, and then the shell just stays there. The next slide is actually a short video in time lapse of this process. Let me know if it doesn't work. There. Okay, and here you can see this cicada is all the way along in the process. Its wings have come out, because they come out and then it takes a few hours and they develop these wings. So they finish growing, and then they're adults. And after they've emerged, oh, actually, so this is a great example of just the exoskeletons. So you can walk around after an emergence and just see all of these little things clinging to any vertical surfaces, which I don't know is very cool. So that's just 3 examples of them. And then this, you get a good view of the split in the back, and then a fully grown winged annual cicada. And after emerging from the ground, adult cicadas live for about 4 to 6 weeks, during which time, as we mentioned, they sing, they sip on plant fluids, such as tree branches and woody shrubs, they mate and lay eggs. Cicadas are probably somewhat most well known for their song, because they have extremely loud singing. It can reach 90 to 120 decibels, which compares to a lawnmower, a motorcycle, or a chainsaw. So it's extremely loud. They're actually the loudest insects on Earth. And only the males sing, and they do so to attract females. The volume, the loudness, can also repel birds and confuse predators. Some species even synchronize their calls to create a deafening chorus that overwhelms predators' senses. And as we mentioned at the very beginning, there are about 3,000 species, and each species has a unique song. So there are 3,000 different cicada songs, and that way they can find each other and know they've found the right cicada, and it depends where they live and how, yeah, so a lot of different cicada songs. And cicadas, unlike when we spent time with bug and frog song at night, cicadas, most of them, there are some species that sing at dusk, but most cicadas sing during the sunny daytime. So they like dry, sunny, kind of perfect summer weather. And they'll typically sing from late morning to late afternoon. And the males do this singing because they have, well, how they do it is with these ribbed membranes. Which we'll see a video of them singing, and they're mostly hollow, and it allows them to make a clicking sound. And this clicking sound that becomes the cicada song is actually 120 to 480 clicks per second. So because there are so many clicks so quickly, it creates a continuous buzz, which is what we all hear if we've heard cicadas singing. And you may wonder, does this really loud clicking harm the male cicada's hearing? It doesn't, because they can dampen their own hearing. So they can deafen themselves while they sing. So yeah, they're made perfectly for this extremely loud singing. All right, now this is one species of cicada singing, and we'll see and hear. Oh, okay, and this is a different species, so you'll hear a different song, but it still has that same kind of continuous clicking sound, and you can hear the myriad other cicadas singing along with this one. And I read somewhere that there can be as many as 750,000 cicadas singing in 1 acre. I think that's more likely with the periodical, but still, you can have so many in a tiny space, and they're all singing, which is how it can be so loud, because one is loud, and then you get so many, and yeah, it's very powerful. So we'll hear this other example. Ah. Cicadas are also a food source for lots of critters, mammals, amphibians, reptiles, birds. Here we see a rooster. Dogs. One of our dogs eats cicadas, Kaya. Um, and because of this, and because they come out in such large numbers, they're large and they're slow and they don't fly very well, which makes them extremely easy to catch. So they provide a great food boon for the local populations. And they also stay very close to their emergence sites, partly because they don't fly well and they're only emerging really to mate. So they just stay close and yeah, they're a wonderful boon for many, which is pretty interesting. And even humans eat them too, especially cultures that are more likely to eat insects. Um, but yeah, you can eat cicadas if you're so inclined. Um, let's see, cicadas also, and this was a surprise to me, but they appear in a lot of ancient myths and symbolism, especially the ancient Greeks. They're in ancient Greek poetry. Um, so you can read about them there. And in Plato's Phaedrus, there's actually a whole myth about them, and it says that cicadas were once humans who became so enchanted by the muses' music that they sang and danced until they forgot to eat or sleep, and then they died. As a reward, the muses transformed them into cicadas who could sing from birth above ground to death without needing sustenance. And we know now that they drink just a little bit of sap, but it's very little, so they consume not much as adults. That myth also goes on to say that these cicadas would report back to the muses which humans were worshiping them well. So they also had that function. But in these old myths, they weren't just linked to this muse story. They also represented themes of rebirth, immortality, patience, spiritual transformation. So they factored into a lot of stories. These are ancient Chinese jade cicada pendants. And I didn't know this either, but they're quite prolific in ancient Chinese culture and they are well revered. They were seen as symbols of rebirth, purity, and enlightenment. And the ancient Chinese placed jade cicadas on the tongues of the dead during burial rituals, believing they would help the soul achieve spiritual rebirth and immortality. So these are old and beautiful. Okay, so this is sort of what kicked off this topic. And it was because I realized I did not know the difference between cicadas and locusts. Um, I thought they were the same thing. So I looked it up and I learned that cicadas in North America are often confused with locusts. And I guess this started with European settlers when they first encountered periodical cicadas in the 1600s. This sudden, massive emergence of so many of an unfamiliar bug reminded them of biblical locust plagues. So they called all of these cicadas locusts. And the name stuck, especially for the periodical cicadas or the 13 or 17-year emerging cicadas. And locusts actually refer to a group of grasshopper, which you can see in this photo. They look like grasshoppers. And they're normally solitary, but sometimes they swarm. And there's a lot of information on these grasshoppers as well. I thought another time we could do a grasshopper nature healing and explore them. But these locusts or these grasshoppers are actually the ones mentioned in like biblical locust plagues, or we had plagues here a long time ago because there used to be the Rocky Mountain locust, but they're now extinct. So right now we have no locusts in this country. And cicadas, they don't technically swarm. They don't fly together to go anywhere. They just emerge in large synchronized numbers, and there are so many of them. It can feel like a swarm, but it's not actually swarming behavior, which is good because they don't harm crops. They do very little damage. They can't bite, they can't sting, they can't hurt humans. They're really quite innocuous. This is the last slide. We get to gaze into the eyes of a periodical cicada. So we'll just sit here with this cicada for just a moment. All right. That was the cicada presentation. Thank you, everyone, and thank you for the inspiration, because I don't know, I also found this children's book, Cicada Symphony, which I highly recommend if you're cicada curious or you love cicadas. This book is wonderful, and I wouldn't have found it without this topic. So thank you, thank you for sharing it with us. Yeah, if anyone has anything they want to share, please feel free.
That was wonderful, Elizabeth. Thank you. I just think it's so cool how we've always talked about this. You can literally pick any little teeny aspect of the natural world, whatever it is, and there's a pathway towards enlightenment there somewhere. So,
Yes. And this
yeah,
one is literally enlightenment. Like they're literally
literally.
rules
It's
of enlightenment. I had no idea. Yeah, it's true.
yeah.
Thank you, Megan.
No, thanks for just igniting my imagination. Love it. Yes, thank you.
Hola.
Hola.
Yeah, I want to thank you too. I'm sorry I'm lying here in the dark, but it's good for me to lie in the dark. And I'm very glad that in my older years before I die, I learned that those locusts that I thought I played with as a kid weren't locusts. We used to collect all those locust shells, which obviously were cicada shells. And now I know that. So thank you.
Yeah, yeah, me too, because I didn't know either. So yeah, thank you, Shayna. Hola. Yeah, those exoskeletons are so cool. And I'm hoping Gary chimes in because I'm thinking that's what you and your friend would take off the elm trees, but
Yes, we did. And, I always thought they were locusts. And I was surprised that they weren't, but it was still fun to pull off the shells off the tree bark.
yeah. Well, and they are locusts as far as as far as many of us are concerned. They just don't have the locusts like eating the whole field of vegetation.
And I thought the 13, 17-year one that you had at the end with the big red eyes is absolutely unbelievable. I mean, the intricate of that species is just incredible. I mean, the wings and the body and the legs and the eyes. It
Yeah.
almost looked like something that would come out in a sci-fi movie,
Yes.
with the arms and.
Yeah.
But
I did.
thank you for sharing. That was really wonderful.
Well, thank you. I don't think I would have without your sharing. So yeah, it opened up a whole new world. I just have to add with their eyes, they actually, to make them even more sci-fi-y, they have the big red eyes, which is how they see the world. And then they have three little red eyes here, and they see light and dark with this other set of eyes in
Wow.
the two big red eyes. So
Wow.
yeah. Yeah, thank you. Hola.
Oh, wow.
Thank you, Elizabeth. I am really fascinated by this because where I live here by Mono Lake at night, I hear, hi, sweetheart. Just got home from work. I hear these singing insects at night, and maybe they're cicadas.
Could be depending on the species. Yeah, they like to sing earlier, but it could be because there are some that do. So yeah, and there are so many species.
Ah, yeah. Because I asked a friend who's also a naturalist, like, who is that? And I don't, this is the first year I like noticed them more. So yeah, now you really got my curiosity like ignited and like, I better figure this out because it could be a cicada and I didn't even know it. So thank you.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty wonderful. I learned they're actually even in Alaska, but their numbers are so small you don't really hear them. But I had no idea they lived in Alaska either. So yeah, they just can't emerge in such great quantities. Yes, thank you. Hola. Hola. Hola to discovering what you're hearing too. It's always exciting.
Yeah, we had an emergence when I was a boy in Kentucky. We had an emergence of I don't know how often it was, but at the time I remember them saying, "Oh yeah, hasn't happened for a long time," and the I think they called them locusts. The locusts are back or whatever. But what I remember about it is that they would slam into our windows and stuff all day long, and they just keep they'd whack into them and they'd fall to the ground, and sometimes they'd be dead, sometimes they were just stunned or whatever. But after just like a couple of weeks, like in our backyard, like which faced like a big nature preserve, it was just covered in these things, just everywhere. So crazy. So we had to go over it a couple of times with the lawnmower basically to chop it all up. That was one of my chores. That was kind of gross. But anyway, that's what I remember about cicadas. That's my story.
That's one of their gifts. The dead bodies so they live underground for so many years feeding, and then they have their mating and their sipping and their singing, and they die. And their bodies, with all of that protein and all of that nutrition, they go back to the earth and they fertilize exactly where they came from. So that's one of the neat parts of their life cycle as
Yeah,
well.
had to raise the deck up because if it's down too low, it gets clogged up and it doesn't move good. That's what I can remember. Maybe a little bit gross in detail, but anyway. Oh wow.
A lot life cycle.
In case somebody does have to deal with that problem, that's the pro tip.
I'm curious. Oh, go ahead, please.
Oh, I was just on the topic of dead cicadas. So I grew up in the Chicago area, and I remember one year we had a double brood, like we had overlapping broods. So it was just like an incredible number of cicadas. It was out of control. And I actually remember, at the end of it when the cicadas were dead, that like the entire world smelled like death. There was so much like decaying cicada matter that like it created this sort of like stench for a couple weeks. But anyway, just thanks, Alex.
I wonder if the next year though, I mean, you probably don't remember, but I wonder if the next year, if everything was like hypercolor, like all the plants had extra fertilizer and all the berries were, I know you probably don't remember. But
No, I don't remember.
Yeah.
I do remember the smell.
yeah, yeah.
It's probably been about 30 years since that happened, so it was memorable.
They do help us connect to the senses. They're really sensory. They're loud. And they can smell. Yes. Yeah. That's an interesting too, because in modern culture, they're not as revered as they were when I found ancient myths. So this yeah, it's fun to see. So thank you, Ben.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Cycle, birth, death, and rebirth.
It's a cycle of life and it's a huge redistribution of nutrients. So, I mean, I bet the crops were really good the next year. Yeah.
Yeah, and all of the animals, because that's one of the strategies of those broods that emerge is predator satiation. So they have so many of them that even if they get, the animals glut on them, there are so many that survive that they continue the cycle. So it's an interesting strategy. It sounds like it works because both of your stories, a lot of them lived to death. So
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good example. Thank you, everyone.
The question that came to mind for me, Elizabeth, I don't know if your research told you this, is when they're living underground, I mean, how far underground are they living? There must be I mean, if they emerge with so many, I mean, aren't they like blanketing the underground too?
That's a good question. I didn't encounter that. I saw like images of roots and things going down, and you just see them kind of like burrowing around. They don't do a lot of damage. I think it's because they don't themselves eat that much. Like here in this book,
Just an illustration.
this is an illustration, but she just kind of shows them like, I don't know. And it says that they help aerate the soil, especially when they emerge. So they're actually considered ecologically beneficial for the soil. And the most damage they do is when the female lays her eggs. She can damage a young tree branch by, scratching. But I don't know. That's a great question. Yeah. If you find the answer, you can send it to me, though. I'll probably also look it up. But yeah, they just sort of like crawl around down there and I don't know, don't do a lot of damage. Yeah.
And probably when they emerge, because it's like their final instar phase. So they're the biggest after they've emerged when they finally do their final molting. So they're probably like half the size. Or
That's a
they probably have several different instar phases underground too, I'm
They
imagining.
they keep molting underground. I can't remember if it's 5 different times that they grow larger. And when the female lays her eggs, it's 400 to 600 eggs. So they're teeny, teeny, tiny when they drop from the trees. That's a good point. They're really small for a long time. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Megan. Thank you, Sheena.
My husband just told me he's from Nepal, and he was totally confused about the difference between cicadas and locusts. And he said, they eat the crops. I said, no, I just learned those are locusts. And he goes, but there's nice ones in the forest who don't eat the crops. I said, those are cicadas then. So I thought that was cool that, yeah, all this time, he knew there was bugs that ate crops and bugs that didn't. Now we know what they were. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Allah. Allah. Mm. Mm. Is there anything else that wants to be shared or otherwise we can move into bringing people into our beautiful field, our healing field. Yeah. So go ahead and connect in to see if there's anyone that wants to be either verbalized here or put in the chat or just sent out silently into the field.
I'd like to bring Laura and Jane into the field.
Laura and Jane. Hola. Thank you, Karen.
I'd like to bring Karen into the field.
Karen. Thank you, Gary. Hola, Karen.
I have a dear friend, Susan, who just did not get a good diagnosis. So I would appreciate that.
Hola, Susan.
Bringing my parents, Tom and Wendy, who have a major love of cicadas. So, thanks.
Tom and Wendy and their love of cicadas and everything else. Hola.
I'd like
I'll
to
just
bring my friend Karen, who I just visited in hospice, who's probably passing on in the next 48 hours,
Hola.
and my brother Phil and his mental challenges.
Hola, Phil.
I'll bring in the kids here who start school tomorrow or soon, for all the transitions that any of us and all of us are going through. May the energy of the cicadas with their ease and life and death and life again help make those transitions smooth. And I want to bring in, again, Betsy McDonald, who is going to Tibet in a week or less, and she's preparing for a big pilgrimage there that I know she'll share all the awesome energies and breakthroughs with us when she returns. Sorry, Peru. Peru. Thank you, Ben. I forget what I said, but not Tibet. Peru. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll hold the kids starting school, all the transitions. We'll hold Tibet and Betsy. And
Yeah, I think we need Tibet. I don't, yeah, how, thank you.
Yep. I'm gonna bring in Steph, who can't be here with us this evening because her pup Maggie, who is often here with us, is unwell and she's going to the emergency room. So we'll hold Steph and Maggie, and also Steph's daughter Claire, her husband Pete, and her whole family. So they're here in this field with us as well. Haola to all of them and healing. Does anyone else want to be vocalized?
Actually, I'd ask Jason. Jason's a guy who helps us out around the house sometimes with some handiwork, and his wife is having some brain surgery coming up here, so add him. And also Craig of our local sporting goods store called Craig's Outdoor Sports. His wife is also going through some health challenges, and he's been out a lot. So both of those two.
Haola, Craig, Craig's wife, Jason, Jason's wife, holding all the healing. We invite any names, spoken, unspoken, even unknown to us here right now. The field is wide open and vast and powerful. When we say Haola, unless there's anything else that wants to be vocalized, we'll transition into our consciousness field setting, our meditation. Right? You can always add people to the field at any time. It's always available. And thank you all for your sharings. It brings a depth and levity to our formal practice. So thank you. And I invite you to find a comfortable posture. You can stay seated, stand, or lie down, whatever feels good to you in this moment. Just make sure it's comfortable. And as you get settled, you can move a little, take a few deep breaths. And when you're ready, you can invite the eyes to close or just allow the gaze to soften. And sink into your posture, connecting to all the places of the body that root to the surface beneath you. Feeling the sits bones sinking, relaxing, the bottoms of the feet, connecting to the earth, that beautiful earth. We just got to get to know one of its longtime inhabitants, the cicadas. Relax, held by the earth. And the spine lengthens, the crown of the head lifts up as we connect to the heaven above. Feeling the heavenly energy flow through the crown of the head, connecting with and merging with the earth energy, feeling supported by heaven and earth. And in this place of support, relax. Connect in. Know where to go. Nothing to do. Just feeling supported. Inviting any tension, any places of stress held in the body to flow out. And in this place of relaxed awareness, invite the consciousness into the center of the head. Bringing all of the awareness to the center of the head. Observing any thoughts present. You can make the sound in the center of the head just to quiet any thoughts. You can make it loud and fast if your thoughts are busy, or slow and quiet. This peaceful awareness, this sound radiates from the center of the head to fill the entire head inner space, including the sense organs. And the head inner space opens and softens. And this same peaceful awareness flows into the neck, observing the neck. And the neck inner space also softens and opens. And the peaceful awareness flows into the shoulders, rolling the shoulders if it feels good, relaxing. And that awareness flows into the arms, upper arms, elbows, forearms, wrists, and hands. The inner space of the shoulders, the arms and hands opens, softens. Peaceful awareness flows into the chest, observing, becoming one with what is. The heart, just gentle rhythm, the lungs, the breasts. Mm. 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 This peaceful awareness permeates the entire chest inner space, opening, opening. Shoo. The peaceful awareness flows into the abdomen, and smiling at all of the organs, the liver, the gallbladder, the spleen, and the pancreas, the stomach, the intestines, the kidneys, adrenals, bladder, and all the reproductive organs. Every organ harmonized in this peaceful awareness. Opening and softening. Shoo. This peaceful awareness moves to the spine, the vertebrae of the neck, the upper back, the middle back, the low back, and the tailbone, all filled with this peaceful awareness. Mm. 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 The inner space of the spine opens and softens. Shoo. Peaceful awareness moves into the hips, the legs, thighs, knees, calves, ankles, and feet. Mm. Mm. This peaceful awareness merges with our groundedness, our connection to the earth. Mm. Mm. The inner space of the hips, the legs, and the feet opens and softens. Shoo. And this peaceful awareness observes the entire body, breathing in this entirety, harmonizing in this peaceful, aware observation. Mm. 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 In this entirety, this peaceful, aware being opens and softens. Shoo. In this place of openness, peace, and awareness, we are in this collective healing consciousness field. And together, we are this peaceful awareness, this Mingjue love, acceptance, happiness, gratitude, and peace. And we feel this blurring all barriers and boundaries, connecting us, all of our baby hearts, to all of our teachers, Teacher Wei, Dr. Peng, anyone, all teachers, all healers, all sages. And in this place of peace and connection, we'll have just a short time of silence as we rest here. Mm. 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 Check in and see if you'd like to remain in this healing field, formally ending the practice whenever you're ready, just allowing the session to float away. Otherwise, if you're ready, bring your awareness into the body, feeling the bottoms of the feet, the palms of the hands, taking a few deep breaths, becoming aware of the space around you. feeling any gentle air on your skin, any sounds. Invite your hands to stack palm over palm at the navel. We give our deep gratitude for all of the sharing, all of the cicadas, all of the healing, all of those in the field, mentioned and unmentioned. And we carry this with us. Haola, haola. And when you're ready, release the hands, gently move the body. Open the eyes. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Oh.
you, Elizabeth. Hola. Thank you, cicadas.
Yes, thank you, cicadas. I will hear them tomorrow and we will all be in the field together with them. Yeah, I really appreciate being here and getting to share all of this wonderful information about a really interesting bug. So thank you. Yeah, and I wish you all the most wonderful time ahead, and I look forward to being together next week for another wonderful topic. And if anyone has anything that they would like to share or have us share, just reach out and we can explore it together. So thank you.
Love you all.
Hola.
Hola.
Hola.